Today, as white smoke rises from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, a clear sign has emerged that the new Pope of the Catholic Church has been elected. In the stillness of St. Peter's Square, thousands of eyes are fixed on the sky, waiting for this historic moment. The white smoke is not only a signal of transfer of power, but also a symbol of new hope for a future which the Church will continue to uphold the values of love, justice, and peace. Pope Leo XIV, the newly elected Pope, carries the responsibility of continuing the great missions left by his predecessors, while facing new challenges in a world that is constantly changing and divided. When looking at the issues Pope Leo XIV will face, it is impossible not to mention three urgent and global problems today: migration, war, and climate change. Each of these issues has a far-reaching impact, not only within the Church but on a global scale, requiring intervention from religious leaders, with Pope Leo XIV at the forefront, providing ethical and practical solutions. Migration has become a global crisis. Millions of people from Africa, the Middle East, and some other poor regions of the world are forced to leave their homeland in search of safety and opportunities elsewhere. They are fleeing war, poverty, and environmental destruction. The previous Pope, Pope Francis, made strong calls for the rights of migrants, emphasizing that we must take responsibility to protect them and welcome them as brothers and sisters. He issued a humanitarian message, calling on countries to open their arms to migrants, protect them from violence, and combat discrimination. Pope Leo XIV, with his commitments to justice and human rights, will likely continue to build on this legacy. Migration is not just a material issue, but also a moral one, where every person has a right to live in peace and seek a better life. Pope Leo XIV may continue to urge countries to not only accept migrants, but also ensure their rights, safety, and opportunities to integrate into society. He may push the United Nations and international organizations to strengthen cooperation in addressing migration issues, while promoting more humanitarian policies to protect the rights of the disadvantaged. In addition, war remains an unavoidable issue when discussing global conflicts and violence. Ongoing wars in the Middle East, tensions in Asia, and ethnic conflict in Africa continue to cause death, destruction, and instability for millions of people. Pope Francis, who always called for peace and dialogue between nations, set an example by encouraging negotiations and seeking peaceful solutions. He not only served as a religious leader, but also as a diplomat with significant influence on the international stage. Pope Leo XIV will continue to build upon this foundation. He will serve as a beacon of light for countries and communities facing conflicts. As a religious leader, Pope Leo XIV may use the power of faith to promote peace, seek consensus, and encourage dialogue. He may organize peace conferences, call on countries to cease violent actions, and seek more sustainable solutions. In an increasingly complex and divided world, Pope Leo XIV will continue to be a model of patience, wisdom, and steadfastness in maintaining world peace. Climate change, one of the greatest challenges of humanity in the 21st century, will also be an issue Pope Leo XIV must address. Although the world has made significant progress in recognizing the destruction of the environment and the need for action, mitigating the effects of climate change remains a colossal challenge. Pope Francis delivered a powerful message in his encyclical Laudato Si, calling on Catholics and nations to take responsibility for protecting the planet. He warned that we are harming nature and the living creatures on Earth, which will lead to unavoidable consequences for future generations. Pope Leo XIV may continue this commitment, calling on nations to act to protect the environment and reduce the impacts of climate change. He will continue to advocate for environmental protection policies, especially as the world faces growing climate disruptions and natural disasters. By emphasizing the relationship between faith and protection of nature, Pope Leo XIV will contribute to building a more sustainable world for everyone. He may encourage Catholics and communities around the world to participate in environmental initiatives, from using renewable energy to reducing waste. Beyond urgent issues like migration, war, and climate change, Pope Leo XIV will also face other social issues, including injustice and poverty. He will continue the work of previous popes in fighting for social justice, protecting the poor and vulnerable in society. He may launch programs and initiatives to help the disadvantaged, encouraging Catholics to engage in charitable activities and assist the poor. In a world increasingly divided and polarized, Pope Leo XIV will be a leader, a model of compassion, patience, and commitment to justice. He will not only be a religious leader, but also a figure of significant influence in promoting global peace and social justice. By continuing the missions initiated by previous popes, Pope Leo XIV will remain a shining light for those seeking peace, justice, and human rights in today's challenging world. Pope Leo XIV, who was elected in 2025, carries a significant mission to continue the traditions of his predecessors while facing the new challenges of the modern world. One of the most symbolic decisions in his election was his choice of the name Leo XIV. This name not only continues a legacy of great popes in history, but also reflects a strong commitment to the values of the Catholic Church, the protection of human rights, and the maintenance of the core principles of the faith. The name Leo XIV inherits a long legacy, particularly from Pope Leo XIII, who was prominent in defending the rights of workers and advocating for social justice in the 19th century. Leo XIII was one of the most influential popes in building the relationship between the Catholic Church and social issues, particularly in speaking out for the rights of the poor, workers, and marginalized groups in society. The name Leo XIV of the new pope is a continuation of this legacy, a commitment that he will uphold the values of the faith, but also face the new challenges of our era. This choice is not only historical, but also expresses Pope Leo XIV's deep commitment to maintaining the core values of the faith. In an increasingly complex and rapidly changing world, the new pope must hold firm to the fundamental principles of the Catholic Church, while applying them to the specific situations and issues that the modern world faces. Choosing the name Leo XIV can be seen as a strong message that he will continue to fight for social justice, protect the rights of the marginalized, and promote world peace. Pope Leo XIV is likely to continue the legacy of defending human rights that his predecessors have worked on. In the context of globalization and the rise of human rights issues, from migration to armed conflict, he may call for protection of the rights of vulnerable groups, encouraging countries and international organizations to act in order to safeguard the basic human rights. Pope Francis laid the foundation for this work by promoting a more open policy toward migrants and refugees, while also speaking strongly against all forms of discrimination and injustice. With this commitment, Pope Leo XIV will likely continue these efforts, not only within the Church, but also in international relations, to build a more just and peaceful world. Protecting human rights is one of the key tasks that Pope Leo XIV will face. He may continue to call on the international community to recognize the basic human rights, including the right to life, freedom from discrimination, and access to essential services such as education and healthcare. This is particularly important in today's context, where inequality and discrimination still widely exist, from the brutal conflicts in the Middle East to humanitarian crises in Africa and social issues in developed nations. Pope Leo XIV will not only stand up to defend the basic rights of individuals, but will also set an example in promoting a fairer world where everyone is treated with respect and dignity. Pope Leo XIV's commitment to human rights may be clearly reflected through specific policies and initiatives. He may continue to advocate for the rights of migrants, protecting them from violence, discrimination, and alleviating the hardships they face. At the same time, he may focus on establishing mechanisms to protect the rights of marginalized groups in society, such as the poor, women, and children. These issues are not just challenges in the religious context, but also relate to the social responsibility of each country and the international community. Another important aspect of Pope Leo XIV's character and thinking is his emphasis on peace. Peace is not only a goal that the new pope strives for, but also a profound value in Catholic faith. In an increasingly divided and fractured world, especially in the context of growing ethnic, religious, and political conflicts, Pope Leo XIV may continue to be the one to promote dialogue between different countries and communities. He may encourage dialogues not only within the Church, but also between different religions, in order to promote understanding and cooperation in building a peaceful world. Pope Leo XIV will continue to uphold the values that his predecessors built. He will continue to protect the core principles of Catholic faith while finding ways to apply them in the modern context, confronting the new problems and challenges that the world faces. Choosing the name Leo XIV is not just an act of respect for the popes of the past, but also a commitment to the values that the Catholic Church has always preserved. The character of Pope Leo XIV, a person with patience, compassion, and a strong commitment to social justice and peace, will be a decisive factor in leading the Church through the challenging times of the 21st century. He will not only be a protector of faith, but also a global leader, continuing to lead the Catholic Church into a new era, where humanitarian values, the protection of human rights, and the building of peace will be the main goals. For Pope Leo XIV, his mission is not only a continuation, but also a revival of ethical values in a world facing countless challenges. With a commitment to protecting the rights of migrants, fighting for peace, and safeguarding human rights, the new pope will certainly have a powerful influence in creating a better world. Pope Leo XIV, as he begins his papacy in 2025, is expected not only to be a religious leader, but also a reformer, one who will bring significant changes to the Catholic Church in the context of the modern world. This expectation is not random, but stems from the clear signs of contemporary world, where the Church must address new challenges related to society, ethics, and religion. Both Catholic faithful and those outside the Church hope that Pope Leo XIV will continue and build upon the reforms initiated by his predecessors, ushering the Catholic Church into a new era, one where ethical values, social justice, and peace will take center stage. First, it is important to recognize the expectations of the faithful regarding reforms within the Church. Catholics around the world hope that Pope Leo XIV will take steps toward renewing the way the Church operates, particularly on issues such as doctrine, the relationship between the Church and society, as well as the Church's involvement in global matters like social justice, human rights, and environmental protection. During the papacy of Pope Francis, a series of reforms were implemented, from expanding dialogue with other religions to advocating for the rights of the poor and migrants. However, many faithful still desire these reforms to be further expanded and deepened. Pope Leo XIV will face great expectations from the faithful to continue these reforms. Reforming the Church is not simply about changing regulations or doctrine. It is also about renewing the Church's image in the eyes of the world. In an increasingly divided and complex world, the faithful hope that the Church will become a source of inspiration for unity, justice, and compassion. This requires Pope Leo XIV to make bold decisions and take daring steps to change the Church's internal structure to meet the needs and expectations of the faithful in the modern world. However, these expectations come with their own set of challenges. One of the issues that Pope Leo XIV will face is maintaining a balance between tradition and reform. The Catholic Church has a long history with values that have been upheld over centuries. Therefore, any reform will need to be carefully considered to avoid undermining the core values of the faith. Despite this, the need for renewal is undeniable, and Pope Leo XIV will need to make subtle and skillful moves to harmonize tradition with necessary change. Reform within the Church is not a new concept. The history of the Church has witnessed many significant changes made by previous popes. One of the largest reforms was the Second Vatican Council under the leadership of Pope John XI in the 1960s. This reform opened a new era for the Catholic Church, where the focus was no longer solely on rituals and traditions, but also on engaging with the modern world. The Vatican II Council allowed the Church to expand dialogue with other religions, reduce traditional liturgical practices, and encourage the participation of the faithful in church activities. This reform not only marked a turning point in the way the Church operated, but also helped bring the Catholic Church closer to its faithful, improving the relationship between the Church and society. In addition, Pope Paul VI implemented significant reforms in clarifying the Church's role in social issues, particularly concerning family, love, and sexuality. He made notable statements about the role of family in society, emphasizing the importance of family values in building a just and sustainable society. These reforms helped the Church maintain a strong connection with its faithful while asserting its role in protecting social and ethical values. Pope Francis, the predecessor of Leo XIV, was also a major influence in implementing strong reforms, particularly in social, ethical, and environmental issues. Pope Francis made his commitment clear in defending the poor and migrants, calling for a shift in the Church's approach to these issues. He was also the first pope in history to speak out strongly about the urgency of climate change, emphasizing that environmental protection is an essential moral and religious responsibility. Pope Francis also restored the Church's relationship with other religions, particularly through dialogue with Muslim and other major faith communities. His reforms were widely welcomed by the faithful, but also faced opposition from some conservative groups within the Church. Pope Leo XIV will face the daunting task of continuing and expanding upon these reforms while facing challenges and difficulties when dealing with conservative forces within the Church. Implementing reforms within the Church is not just a political or religious decision, but also a noble mission to help the Church maintain its connection to the modern world while preserving the core values of Catholic faith. The faithful expect that under Pope Leo XIV leadership, the Church will continue to grow and integrate with the contemporary world without losing its identity. The history of reforms within the Church has shown that the Church has always had the ability to renew itself and adapt to the changes of the times without compromising its core values. However, this does not mean that reforms are always easy. Each reform comes with resistance and controversy, but it is also an opportunity for the Church to demonstrate its ability to meet the needs of the faithful and society. Pope Leo XIV will face enormous expectations regarding the maintenance and development of these reforms, while also having to be cautious to ensure that these reforms do not weaken the basic principles of the faith. With the reforms implemented by previous popes, Pope Leo XIV will continue to lead in maintaining harmony between tradition and renewal in the Catholic Church. He will need to find ways to address modern issues while protecting and developing the long-standing religious values that the Church has preserved for over 2,000 years. Reform is not just a step forward, but also a rebirth, a commitment to the next generations of faithful in protecting the core values of faith and human rights.